3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Josh Hennig.
As we embark on the final regular season weekend of the NFL, it's going to be a busy weekend for all of us who love football. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on our Friday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Boy, we got a lot to get to, cramming in all 1 hour. Also, Sixers and Knicks tonight coming up at 7:30 here on 97.3 ESPN. Get you the latest news on the Eagles injury report. Plus, we will dig deeper into the football weekend. Andy McNamara is back. He joins me in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Also, your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. So let's dig deep into what we know right now. What we know right now is, as I told you guys this week, the expectation all week was that Devonta Smith was not going to play, and that was confirmed earlier today. And frankly, like I said, I am not surprised at all. Look, Devonta Smith is a guy that you need him more for the playoffs than this game against the Giants. You know, Mike Gill in the Sports Bash made the comment earlier. Now, he said it partially in jest, but there is some validity to it, which is, if you can't beat the Giants with some of your backups, then maybe you don't deserve to be in the playoffs, basically. And, you know, considering the Eagles almost lost the game on Christmas Day to the Giants, yes, this team has to play better. They should play better. And the way they've been playing is, frankly, unacceptable. So, you know, Devonta Smith, though, should not be the reason why you win or lose a game against a Giants team that is, frankly, not healthy. They're banged up. They're an absolute mess. So for me, when I look at a guy like Devonta Smith, I understand his value for a playoff game. And I look at him and I say, look, if you can't beat a Giants team that is without one of their safeties and one of their quarterbacks, Deonte Banks, is doubtful for the game, their safety, Jason Pinnock, is out, the Giants are not healthy. So you got to take advantage of that. You got to take this team, put them out of their misery in the first half, and run away with it. Now, I am surprised that Darius Slay will not play in this game, because of the fact that I was under the impression that because Slay did practice a couple days this week, limited, I understand, but he was out there on the field, that maybe they were ramping him up to play in this game, get some extra reps, and let him be, you know, at least get into that game rhythm before the postseason. But he didn't practice at all today, which tells me that either they're being extra careful with him, or the Eagles won't say it out loud, but maybe they had a setback. DeAndre Swift, illness, he was limited at practice. Everyone else practiced. Cunningham in his knee, Davis in his ankle, Avonte Maddox has what they're describing as an elbow issue. He was a full participant at practice. And Hassan Reddick, he practiced even though he is listed with an illness. And of course, we know everyone has been getting sick in the last several weeks all around our region. So anytime I see illness on the injury report, it's more of like okay, you're next on the list kind of feel. But the reason why I touched on Reddick at the end there was because Reddick was asked yesterday. We played this audio earlier on the Sports Bash. I want to bring it up here. Reddick was asked about the situation with the defensive coordinator. And what makes Reddick relevant for this question is because Hassan Reddick has double-digit sacks for the fourth straight year. This guy has been an incredibly productive pass rusher the last 4 years. But he has now played for a different defensive coordinator each of his last 4 years. In Philadelphia, his first year, he had Jonathan Gannon. This year, he had Sean Desai to start the year. When he was in Arizona, he had Vance Joseph. When he was in Carolina, he had Phil Snow. So this guy has found a way to be productive no matter who the person is calling the defensive plays. Now, the difference is that he had the previous three coordinators for an entire season. Snow, Gannon, and Joseph were the defensive coordinators from beginning to end. So I was very curious to hear what Reddick would say about a defensive coordinator change mid-season and his perspective as someone who has had 4 different coordinators already in 4 seasons of playing in the NFL.
It's a hard thing to do, but it's our job at the end of the day, so there's no complaints about it. But yeah, it's definitely a hard thing, right? You spend so much time with one DC and learn, a new DC at that at the beginning of the year and trying to learn everything that he wants us to do, his terminology, the way that he calls things. And then, towards the end of the season, we switch.
I thought that was very interesting, what he said near the end there. You get used to one person's terminology, the way they call plays, and then you suddenly switch. That is a huge part of this conversation that I believe has not been discussed enough. What Hassan Reddick basically told you is that as a professional athlete, you get into a rhythm with your coaches. That, when you change coaches, there's an adjustment period for the players. And that whether that adjustment is a positive or negative, that is a legitimate issue for these players. Now, not every offensive or defensive change has the same impact. As we're seeing in Philadelphia, it has not been a positive because for 3 straight games, the Eagles have allowed over 22 points per game in the second half with Matt Patricia calling the plays. Now, Philadelphia as a whole has not played well in the second half. They are on average being outscored by 12 points in the second half of games. But part of that is because of the defense. So for a guy like Reddick, he's saying, look, there is a difference. There is something tangible there that is different. And I just have to wonder if the Eagles will look back on this play calling change. If they will look back on it and say, this was a bad idea. We should never do this again. And there is a possibility, a real possibility, that both Desai and Patricia do not return next season. I'm just putting out there in the universe. Do not be surprised if both of these guys are not back next year. Because no matter what, unless the Eagles find, the Infinity Stones and become a super team and win the Super Bowl this year, I don't see a scenario where the Eagles win a championship this football season. So there are going to need to be changes. And for as much as A.J. Brown says, us players got to do better, the coaches don't play any snaps, the reality is that you can't fire all the players, AJ. You can't just implode the entire roster. It's easy for you to say it's on the players. Yeah. You know why it's easy for you to say that, AJ Brown? Because they're not firing you.
The coaches played 0 snaps this year. It is not the coaching. It is us. And so, like I said, if one person goes the wrong way, the whole play is over. And as you guys see, it is glimpse. It's highs and lows. It goes just like this. That's why, honestly, I feel like we are close. We are close to continue to get better and continue to take that next step. With all this freaking adversity, we right there. That's what happens when you're trying to get to the next step. Gravity pulls against you. Everything pulls against you. And I think that's what this team is going through right now.
Listen, it's a great quote. It's a great soundbite. But the reality is that you can't fire all the players because you have financial commitments that you're stuck with. I was double checking it earlier today. Did you know that the Eagles are still paying dead money on Brandon Brooks' contract, and he retired. That's how ridiculous the NFL is. That these salary cap dead money situations are things that you don't know until you start digging. And when you start digging, you walk away with more questions than answers. So you can't get rid of all the players. So you're going to get rid of a coach or two. And if you're not going to get rid of Brian Johnson, which who knows what's going to happen with that? I mean, the Eagles are averaging 2 less points per game this year than last year. They're rushing the ball less than last year, even though DeAndre Swift had his first 1,000 rushing yard season of his career. So who really knows what's going to happen? But I genuinely think that we're going to see some serious changes on this team next year. I think it starts with the coordinators. I think if you're the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, the general manager, Howie Roseman, and Nick Sirianni, the head coach, if you guys are having an honest conversation without everyone watching, I think it comes down to what are we going to do about this defense? And they're all going to agree that we can't really agree on who should be the DC who's on the roster now. So we got to bring a new person. So then Philadelphia will have 3 years with 3 different defensive coordinators. How does that impact the team? I don't know, man. It's something to think about here on Game Night. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN. We'll squeeze in one text before we hit the break, 609-403-0973. Shader and EHT chimes this. Happy Friday, Josh. I totally believe the Eagles could lose to the Giants and then lose to the Bucs back-to-back weeks, or they could get it together, embrace the underdog role, come back, and keep our football season going. By the way, Sixers look better than ever. Go Maxey. That's from Shaner and EHT. Well, you're right. The Sixers are so much fun to watch. You know, it's a conversation that Billy Schweim in the locker room and I have had numerous times here on 97.3 ESPN about the fact that the Sixers and Flyers are fun to watch. And even though the Flyers have lost 6 of their last 7 games, all those games have been close. 1 goal, almost all of them have been 1-goal games, and 3 of them have gone to either overtime or shootout. So the Flyers are a feisty bunch, and the Sixers are fun to watch because Maxey and Embiid combination is one of the best in the NBA. But back to the Eagles' point, Shaner, you're right. We could see either way. But I do think the point you brought about underdog is interesting. This team does not seem to have the same energy that 2017 did. Because the 2017 team, even though they were the number 1 seed, they embraced that underdog role immediately. They got the dog masks. Lane Johnson and Chris Long are walking around. You had all those guys rallying around Nick Foles. You know, that was a lot of players who were also veterans, like Garrett Blunt, you know, being in the locker room. It's a different team. This is a team that is old, at the wrong positions, and they're also young at some of the wrong positions. And I think that 2017 team was built perfectly. So my perspective on this is I would love to see them embrace the underdog role. I just don't know if they have it in them, Shaner. Good text from Shaner and EHT. Keep text coming in, 609-403-0973. George and Summer Splunk is your message and others coming up in just a bit here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Coming up next, Andy McNamara joins me, talk more NFL here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedor bring you all the exciting play-by-play action. It's Flyers Flames tomorrow. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. It's Flyers hockey all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey. 97.3 ESPN.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matte Black Kia.
At the Home Depot, we have savings on laundry sets that fit your lifestyle. Like Whirlpool Laundry with a 2-in-1 removable agitator that allows you to customize any load. Simply remove the agitator to fit bulky items or keep it in to help break down dirt and grime. And with flexible capacity, you can finish more loads in less time. Get up to $450 off select laundry sets from top brands like Whirlpool at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid January 4th through the 24th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
The annual Wildwood Fishing and Boating Expo is returning to the Wildwoods Convention Center on January 6th and 7th. There's over 80,000 square feet to enjoy with 100 vendors featuring 11 boat dealers with center consoles to wave runners and more. Free seminars by Jenny Ackerman, Captain Steve Spagnolo, and more. Plus a Yeti 65 cooler giveaway each day. Doors open at 9 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, January 6th and 7th. Admission is just $10 for adults, $3 for kids 6 to 13, and under 5 is free. Visit fishingexpowildwood.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-294-8831 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-294-8831. That's 800-294-8831. What do you have to lose? Call 800-294-8831. Again, 800-294-8831.
We all make resolutions this time of year, and let's face it, most of them won't stick. But here's one that's not only easy to keep, but will help you feel healthier all year long. Navage. Navage provides quick, drug-free nasal relief by washing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. This time of year, when everyone is sick, Navage helps by sucking out germs, bacteria, and viruses trapped in our noses that cause us to feel miserable. And come allergy season, it does the same with dust, pollen, and other allergens. And unlike medications that can take time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage helps treat congestion symptoms in seconds flat, without drugs. This New Year's, resolve to use drug-free Navage to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at the 20s Italian Bistro for just $25.
This great deal is on sale now at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seize the deal. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Of course, Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Just because the calendar turned to 2024 doesn't mean you might need to get your air system checked. We have a winter storm coming through potentially this weekend, and it's only going to get colder. So if you're not sure if your air system is going to hold up for the entire winter season, or you're just looking for a way to save money in 2024, just call Jenkins. Find out how they can save you on your utility bills. 609-641-6440 and visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. As promised, joining us right now, Andy McNamara is back with another Football Friday here on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, good to see you, and I'll get it out of the way. Congratulations. You are the 23 97.3 Fantasy Football League champion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'd like to be humble, Josh, but I can't. I'm going to drink it all in. Lord it over everyone. Yes. No, what a great season. I've ordered my ring from Trophy Smack to celebrate, and it will make an appearance in a future episode of Game Night with you, sir.
Yeah, I jokingly said to you yesterday that don't spend it all in one place, and you said no, it's already been spent. So.
It's all spent. It's all to pay for the ring. That goes with my collection. Every time I make sure I get some sort of hardware to commemorate it. So it's good. Great season. I just feel like, can you believe there are still some leagues that are playing week 18? Like, that's just a fireable offense for a fantasy commissioner. Come on.
I just can't. Now look, now here's the thing. I will say this. Now I'm not defending people, but I'm elaborating on what I've been told. Okay. So I know that there are leagues out there that don't actually have a playoff.
Oh.
They just play all 18 weeks. And the team with the highest total number of points scored and the best record, and they do the winnings like that.
Yeah.
So, and obviously playing week 18 is a whole animal unto itself if you're trying to win a fantasy league. I mean, now jokingly, I like to do DFS on week 18 just because it's hilarious to see what can happen. Like for example, if you are playing fantasy football this weekend, Andy, your number one pick, no matter what you're doing, is got to be Puka Nacua, because the Rams are going to feed him. They've already told you. Sean McVay has told the world, we want this guy to break the rookie record. We are going to feed him the rock. So you know what? You got to get Puka Nacua in your lineup this weekend, because if nothing else, that guy's going to get the ball, which also means your starting quarterback needs to be Carson Wentz.
Oh, woo! How's that for a twist, huh? How's that for a wrinkle? That's the wildness of week 18. Yeah, okay, if they want to get Puka the ball, is Carson going to be able to get it to him? That's iffy. That's a questionable issue there. I know Jamar Chase, they want to get him at least 4 catches to get over the 100 mark. He's banged up. It's weird, and betting wise too, Josh. This is has to be the hardest week to bet on in the National Football League, because all the odds, the spreads are all backwards. Like if Lamar Jackson was playing for Baltimore, they would be favored over Pittsburgh. Well, they have Ty Huntley, where if they score 9 points, they're lucky when he's playing. So Pittsburgh's a favorite. It's all over the place.
Well, we'll get to some of those games in a minute, but I will ask you about the Eagles, because we were having this debate earlier. Now, your Browns are a completely different situation. Your Browns, they're locked in the postseason. They can't move up. They can't move down.
Yeah.
So Joe Flacco can take a nap on the bench. Let's stay awake the whole time.
Right.
And it could just be Jeff Driscoll, PJ Walker, and they could go out there and it doesn't matter, right? Like if you're a Browns fan, frankly, if you're a Browns fan, bet against the Browns on Sunday, because they're not. They're not playing anybody, but the Eagles here, they got a completely different situation where do you play or do you not play? Because, Andy, you and the Cowboys play at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
If the Cowboys lose, you can win the division. If the Cowboys win, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can drop from 5 to 7 in this scenario, because guess what? You already have 11 wins. So, for you, how would you treat the Eagles situation? Because it's been a conversation for all of us today here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's tricky because of the opponents, right? Are the Cowboys going to lose to the 4-12 Commanders?
All their losses are on the road, Andy. All of them.
That is fair. It's true. And it's a division opponent, which, as we know, can always be a little wacky. Last time they played, they put the boots to the Commanders 45-10. This could be probably too, and I think likely the last game for Ron Rivera as head coach. Does that mean anything, right? You can make that storyline with the Tennessee Titans as well, possibly the end for Vrabel, for the Raiders as well with Pierce. So all those little extras come into play. If I'm the Eagles, look, I think you've been on such a slide, losing 4 of your last 5. You got to go out and play with a playoff mentality. I think you just have to. You have to get back on the right track. What the bleep was that against Arizona? What was that? Come on. That was absolutely embarrassing. If you're the Eagles, you have to say, all right, our playoff mentality starts now. We got to reset ourselves as the gold standard in the NFC as much as possible. You got to win this game against the Giants. I think it's more important than people are making it out to be. I've been thinking about this all week, Josh. And for me, you have to get mentally right if you're Philadelphia, because otherwise there's a very good chance you're one and done. There is. I don't care who you play, you could be one and done. So I say you go out, win that game, and at least then you can say, hey, you know what? We did everything we could. Because imagine you mail it and you lose, and Dallas isn't beyond choking. We know that. Imagine Dallas loses and you rest guys and you don't win the division. That's just something I wouldn't be able to live with as an Eagles fan or player. So I say go get them. Come on.
So I agree with you. That's my argument has actually been get up to a big lead at halftime, see where the Cowboys are at. The Cowboys have a big lead.
Yeah.
Send Marcus Mariota and the backups out there and have a day.
Yeah.
Now the counter argument, okay, and this has been the counter argument today. So I want to give both sides their, like it's almost like a debate. It's the presidential debate when both sides get their full time, right?
Right.
The time is now yours. One argument is that there have been teams that played poorly at the end of seasons and they went on to make runs, right? We saw the 2017 Eagles, for example. They did not look good those last 2 weeks of the season. They want to win a championship. You look at a team like the Ravens. They were fumbling to the end of the season in 2012. They won a championship. The Rams looked horrible in the middle of their season a couple of years ago. They won a championship. You could throw in there the Packers when they won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. They were the 6th seed for a reason, right? The Giants with Eli Manning, they were a 6th seed for a reason. So history does tell us that how you end the season may not be that important. Your reaction to that?
I think it's fair. And God, the NFL's been around for 100 plus years. You can find examples of anything if you want, right? And pretty much everything has happened in certain situations. So that's fair. But I'm sure if we dug around, there's probably the exact same, if not more, examples of teams that did do poorly at the end of a season and did get eliminated as a one and done. There's not a cookie cutter answer to it. My issue is this. We're not talking about Philly playing last week. Oh, you got upset by the Cardinals. You were looking ahead. We're not talking about a week here. We're not talking about 2 weeks here. You beat the Giants. Okay. We're talking about something that goes back to that 49ers loss. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going at 6 weeks ago. This is not a end of the year midseason. This is a free fall in the last chunk of the season when you're supposed to be starting to play your best football. The Eagles are not. That's what's so concerning to me. The talent is there. We know we've talked about how much we believe in Jalen Hurts, right? Devonta Smith is out. He's not going to play. He'll be ready for the playoffs, I'm sure.
Right.
But it's a case where I really think for Philly, you cannot take this mentality of flipping the switch. Because Josh, the room looks dark right now. I don't know if you can find the switch if you're Philly, right? You got to flip the switch now. And I like your game plan. Get up to a lead at half. Turn on the jet and see. Cowboys are up. All right, then you can mail it in a little bit. And if they're not, then you keep going. But you have to send a message to your team because they've been so cold and so out of whack the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks. I just think it's far too important and a different situation than a team that they clinched a while ago and they kind of mailed it in for 2 weeks.
So let me ask you this, because you brought up the Cardinals loss. Chris Long said on his podcast, the Greenlight Pod, because he does like an NFL recap of every game after each week, right? Him and his brother Kyle. And they brought up the idea that, he was always worried about this game because of Jonathan Gannon. that Gannon knew the players and that Gannon had intimate knowledge, right, of these guys. Let me actually see if I can find the audio real quick, because I know I did. Here it is. So this was Chris Long on his Greenlight pod on Gannon and the Eagles. And you react to this, Andy, because you let me know, like, does this now? I'm not saying the loss is acceptable, okay? Because it's unacceptable on so many levels. But is there something to this that maybe the rest of us didn't factor in, that a former player maybe they're seeing something that you and I didn't? Take a listen.
Jonathan Gannon, coming in this game, you knew he'd know Jalen, right? Because he's practiced against him the whole thing. He knows this offense. But what I think you underestimate is how well he knows the defense and the personnel and what gives the personnel problems. And the Cardinals gave them problems all day. And Kyler Murray, ball barely touched the ground in the second half. James Conner might have had his best day this year as a Cardinal. Michael Carter had his best day as a Cardinal. And who's it happening to? All these things? It's the Eagles.
Your reaction, Andy?
Yeah, I get it. I understand that. But the Eagles also knew that Gannon knew that. That wasn't catching them by surprise, right? The Eagles coaching staff knew this. So I would assume you'd be preparing, throwing some wrinkles or whatever. Is it a factor? I'm sure. But like, Josh, that's all over the league. You can find examples of that, right? And maybe not to the same intimate knowledge, but I put that on the Philadelphia coaches. I put that on like, okay, so a guy knows you and they beat you and that's fine. That's not fine. You get in the playoffs, I'm sure there's some assistant on some other team you'll play who knows the Eagles or knows the system or knows something. Too bad. This Eagles team has to be held at a higher standard. This isn't just some fluff wildcard team that's getting in and is just happy to be there. This is a team that had Super Bowl championship aspirations, not just getting there, winning the whole damn thing. So that's inexcusable to me. I don't care. I don't care if John Gannon was sitting in on their meetings. So what? Figure it out. You're better than them. The Cardinals suck, and you got beat. Unacceptable on every level to me. And I really hope they make a statement against that Giants team, because that's a division opponent. You know the Giants are going to be up for it.
Oh, they'll be up for it, but half their team is injured. So I mean, they actually
doesn't matter.
They kind of won't be at the same time.
Can we get what happened to Boston Scott? What happened to Boston Scott? A guaranteed touchdown. Come on, even that didn't deliver. Everything's going wrong here. Jeez, that was as sure as the sun rising, but no, not a couple weeks ago.
Andy McNamara joining us. Of course, he is the host of the Sick Podcast at AndyMC81 on the Twitter X platform. Is where you give him a follow for all of his football analysis. He also does horse racing stuff, which I know absolutely nothing about. So you can hit up Andy on that, because that, you know, it's funny. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know this about horse racing." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like." For someone like myself who knows as much as I do about as many things as I do,
yeah,
it's like it's the one, like, you know, massive like void in like the knowledge database. Like you go to that area of the brain and it's just like an empty room. Like,
it's different, man. It's different. And you know what? It's funny you say that, because that's what where I'm working with, called Railbirds, on all social media at my Railbirds. That's what we're doing for the sports fan like you, the better, the football, the baseball, everything, every sports fan who's passionate but doesn't know horse racing. That's the language we're trying to bring. Because I'll tell you, boy, you hear some of the horse racing jargon, it's like, what do you say? What? It's like you're speaking a different language. We're breaking it down. So, and you know me, I bring the energy. We try to make it fun and all that. So if you are interested in just like learning a little bit, but you know, with some picks and bets and jumping in, and it's very easy and digestible, at my Railbirds, you can check it out.
Absolutely. So I want to hit on with you some of these playoff game scenario situations. Okay. So let's start with a team. I know you don't like him. We're going to talk about the Steelers. So they are in if they win or Buffalo lose and Buffalo loses, or if they win and the Jacksonville Jags lose, or if they win and Houston and Indy tie, or if they tie and a bunch of mishmash happens. So let's assume the Steelers win, because I think most of us believe the Steelers are going to beat the Ravens backups on tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Huntley. Take the under in that game, by the way, too. The Ravens aren't scoring over 10 points, I'll tell you that.
But how realistic is it that Buffalo or Jacksonville lose on Sunday?
I think it's very realistic. Like, okay, so if I'm getting your scenario right, if Pittsburgh wins and Buffalo loses,
Correct.
Pittsburgh's in?
Pittsburgh's in.
Oh my God, they're going to get in.
I got the NFL scenarios right here.
Oh my Lord, they're going to get in. Oh, that's gross. With Mason,
I don't agree with that. I think
offense
Buffalo,
sucks.
I think Buffalo is going to go down to Miami and they're going to destroy them.
Really?
Well,
Buffalo's 2.5 point favorites.
I think that the Bradley Chubb loss is bigger than people realize.
Yeah, can't discount that. Yep, but Miami, they play. You talk about teams who play good at home. Oof, boy, Miami's good.
Well, they barely beat the Cowboys.
It's true, but they beat them, right? And this is really interesting. So does that mean the Dolphins would get a wild card spot? I guess, right?
Well, Dolphins already clinched a playoff spot.
They got a playoff spot. Yes, okay.
It's a matter if they win the division or not.
Yes,
so if
okay.
Buffalo wins, they win the division. If Miami wins, they win the division.
Right, and then if Pittsburgh wins and Buffalo loses, they're out, and then other stuff.
Which is crazy because Buffalo might be the most dangerous team in the AFC, right? And they could be on the way out. So it's
wild.
Like it's the most crazy. So like if you're a Bills fan, you're looking at the Steelers game and you're just crying right now. Like you're crying in your whatever you're eating, right? Your
buffalo wings, your hot
buffalo
sauce
wings, right? There you go.
Whatever
because
you
you're
have,
just like, why can't the Ravens play anybody to get the Steelers out? And the Steelers are actually playing decently with Mason Rudolph of all time.
I know. Like they're in, and by decent, you had like a super low standard. I don't, all the credit should go to Mike Tomlin. That team stinks on offense. It's embarrassing, but they keep figuring ways to weasel and stay in the conversation.
Remember when people were saying like a month ago, Tomlin can't be the head coach anymore? Remember that? I remember that. I remember people saying, "Oh, Tomlin." Like people were literally wondering where Tomlin's next head coaching job,
which is so dumb. Look, he's kept that, and I used to be of the thinking years ago. It's like, he's only good because he got Ben Roethlisberger. And look, the job he's been able to do now, he's not going to Super Bowls, but he's done, let's say, a much better job staying relevant without his franchise quarterback than, let's say, Bill Belichick has. How about that for a thought?
True.
Like this is a case too where I think we look and it's last game for Belichick in New England. I think they go out with a win, right? You got to look there.
I already said one of my picks today. I said it earlier in the day. Ride the Patriots.
Yeah.
1.5, 2.5. I don't care because Belichick is going to want to stick it to the Jets. He's going to want to show the world I'm Bill Belichick. Kiss my rear.
Yep.
And then he's going to walk out of that stadium as a winner. And then he's going to go somewhere else with a new job next year.
Yeah. And then that's the fun debate. Is it the Chargers? Is it the Raiders? Is it Washington? Is it Carolina? Wherever things go. I don't think the Raiders. But
I know I'm diverting from the original question, but dude, I really do think that Belichick is going to Washington. I think
that was my first pick from months ago. Yeah, I agree.
Because he loves football history. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he grew up around Annapolis. So he knows the area. He knows that
bedrock franchise.
That the history of the people who have coached that franchise. And there's that part of him that looks at Don Shula and says, Shula coached 2 places too. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so did Paul Brown. So he knows that going to multiple places is not going to hurt his legacy. Right.
No.
It's not going to make him look bad. So he could coach Cleveland and the Patriots and Washington. Nobody cares. And I think he would rather go to Washington with a brand new owner who is a legitimate Washington fan. He's been a fan of the team since he was a kid. And I think that's where Belichick ends up. I genuinely do. I think Harbaugh ends up with the Chargers. I think he leaves Michigan after the championship game. I think Antonio Pierce stays with the Raiders because I think all the players are going to want to win for him this Sunday. That's why I'm saying bet the Raiders.
Yeah, me too.
Ride that team. Okay, it's Jarrett Stidham on the other side, for goodness sake. Max Crosby's going to be his nightmares all game long.
Stidham.
And I think that the only job openings that are going to be legitimately like open for conversation are going to be jobs like Carolina.
Yeah. And Harbaugh, like I was hearing rumors that Davis is going to make a pitch to Harbaugh. Like, I don't know if those seem like hard personalities, and Harbaugh is not the most agreeable fella at times, right? So
I will say, I think Harbaugh, and this is a completely sidetrack conversation. I think Harbaugh gets a bad rap because he spit in the face of the establishment of college football. And I think that they're like, I don't know if you heard Pat McAfee, his conspiracy theory today, but kind of along those lines. McAfee was basically saying that there's somebody at ESPN who's out to get him, basically. And that's why his show is as successful as it should be. And apparently Bill Simmons came out and corroborated McAfee's accusations, basically.
Really?
But similar in that vein, I think that Harbaugh, McAfee, he's such a maverick.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a renegade to the system. When COVID happened, he was the only football coach who took a pay cut. He took a pay cut so he could make sure everyone in the Michigan athletic department, the secretaries and all those people, the training staff, they kept their jobs because they were all going to lose their jobs because of COVID. Harbaugh's the guy who went and took care of recruits who wanted to visit the school, and the NCAA keeps saying it's not just because he bought a cheeseburger, but it's because he bought the kid a cheeseburger is why you even noticed what he was doing, So it's to me, Harbaugh spits in the face of the establishment, and the power brokers have turned him into this villain, so
the cheating and all that.
Right. And it's people act Harbaugh, look at the horrible thing he did. And it's sports history is full of those people. Do you not remember Jim Tressel? Do you not remember the pony excess down in SMU? Come on, man. It's just, I look at Harbaugh as a guy who he wanted to go to Michigan. He wanted to revive the program. It's his alma mater, but now he's getting that itch to go back to the NFL.
Right. And especially too, if you win it, you leave on the highest of high notes. You're even more of a legend than you were before. Right. My only thing with Belichick to watch, and I totally agree, and I'm of the exact same mindset of you of the history and all that. I just wonder, you traded away Chase and Sweat, and it's okay, you got to rebuild that defense. That was a strength. Now it's not. What are you doing at quarterback? Is it you draft, right? But okay, let's say you're 4-13. You finish the year. Washington does. Do you go get one of the top QBs? Because if you don't, and Belichick is chasing that record, and you're stuck with Sam Howell, it's going to take you a lot longer to break that record with 4 or 5 wins a year than it would if you went to, let's say, the Chargers and you got Justin Herbert there, love him or hate him, but that is a bona fide piece of meat talent right there that you can build around. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting where he ends up and really what other candidates come about.
That's not a conversation as well. Who are the other candidates? All right, before I let you go, real quick, a game that we haven't talked about yet that you're looking forward to this weekend is go.
I'm looking forward to Jags Titans. And I think the reason is because, one, it's who the Browns will end up facing, winner of the AFC South. But really, that AFC South has become very quietly one of the most interesting stories of the season to me. A division that we all wrote off. I was just that division stinks. There's going to be a 7-10 team, whatever, that wins it. And all of a sudden, you see the Texans, Colts, and Jags all 9-7. So I'll say not necessarily the one game, but that whole division race was really interesting to me this year because you have all the storylines. You have the Colts overcoming Richardson down. You're doing it with Minshew. You got C.J. Stroud that, my God, the rookie. Now he's back. And then you have the Jags struggling to hold on and piece together and hold together with tape Trevor Lawrence. So I think that whole AFC South race is, and in a year, Josh, where, we're a bunch of things I never thought I'd say, go Joe Flacco with the Browns. The AFC South quietly has turned into one of the more interesting storylines.
Is it interesting or is it dumpster fire? Because the NFC South is
that's a dumpster fire. That's a dumpster. The other teams at least are above 500. They're all 9-7, right?
That's
the
true.
NFC South is who doesn't want to. It's the when was the wasn't it NFC East a while? The 8-8 won it. Wasn't that a few years ago, right?
What was it? Washington won the division. They played
it was
the
gross.
Bucks. Yeah, and then there was the 1 year the Seahawks had a losing record. They won the West.
Yeah.
There was the year that the Panthers had a losing record. They won. So,
yeah. The NFC South is similar that there's 3 teams that could win it, but super uninteresting. And just bad, right? Falcons, Saints, barf. I don't want to watch that game. It's terrible. Oh, Panthers, Bucks. I hope Baker does it because he gets $1 million bonus. I hope Baker does well, but the Panthers got nothing to lose. They'll be playing loose. Who knows, right? It's just whoever wins that division, first round, you're done. Come on.
I don't care about that.
Who are you going to play? Who would it be?
Look, if it's Eagles Bucks, there are people in this area who are worried about that matchup.
I don't know. Baker has won a playoff game.
The game is in Tampa. Last time the Eagles played in Tampa, they lost.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm not taking anything with the Eagles as a guarantee right now. Nothing is guaranteed. So I want to see how this game is. That's why it's important to the Giants. You go lay an egg against the Giants in New York, then I can't argue that they would definitely win that game. If they make a statement and show like, all right, back on track, then I think they take that one. But yeah, that Eagles-Giants game, I want to more watch body language. I want to see how is this team reacting as they go. It's going to be a lot more stress this time of year for the Eagles than I thought there would be.
At AndyMC81 on the Twitter X platform, the host of the Sick Podcast. Tell the folks we got going on this weekend.
Yeah, man. So we're Sunday live, 10 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, as you said, on Twitter X at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, and Instagram at AndyMCSports. We'll do fantasy football wrap-up for the year, kind of those heroes, those dynasty guys to hold on to. Look at kind of the smart plays, maybe some bets where we can make some money in this weird Week 18. And, of course, a little Browns talk, too.
There you go. Andy, appreciate you jumping on, my friend.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Andy McNamara joining us here on GameNight 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. See how we'll wrap up the hour on the other side with your texts, George and Summers Point and more. 609-403-0973.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey triple team to Beverly in the corner for three. It's good. Patrick Beverly, corner three.
It's Sixers Knicks tonight. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
With savings at the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking. With top brand appliances like a GE Profile refrigerator with convenient features like a built-in dual dispense autofill pitcher. Plus, with seamless shopping in-store and online, everything you need for your kitchen is just a click away. Get up to $800 off select kitchen appliances from top brands like GE Profile at the Home Depot. Pricing valid January 4 through 24. Gas ranges and dryers extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Oh, baby. It's Sixers basketball. This is Tom McGinnis, radio voice of the Philadelphia 76ers, and you can listen to all the exciting Sixers basketball action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Brought to you by Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City's pre-owned center on the Black Horse Pike in Pleasantville.
Now hard on a drive, back to Joel. Three-point shot, and B dribbles, fires from out front. It's good. He made it. The Sixers take the lead. Sixers basketball all season long on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Don't miss out on limited time appliance deals during the closeout event at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $100 when you spend $999 or more on all major appliances. Hurry, these deals are too good to last long. Shop in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 1/4 through 1/24. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for details.
Open enrollment is happening right now, New Jersey. Join the many residents who are getting quality, affordable health coverage through Get Covered New Jersey. If you need health insurance, this is the time to enroll. Get Covered New Jersey offers increased plan choices and more savings than ever. 9 in 10 people get financial help for plans that include preventive care, prescriptions, emergency services, and more. And many pay $10 a month or less. Find your plan at getcovered.nj.gov.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
'Twas the month of December, and all through the lot, people were shouting about the offers they got. I got more for my trade.
I got 0% and no payments until March of next year.
They bailed me out of my loan. I was upside down. If you're worried about credit, stop. Just apply, because the staff at Matt Blatt Mitsubishi wants to see you in a new ride. So if you have a job clearing $450 per week at Matt Blatt Mitsubishi, you're virtually approved. Plus, every new Mitsubishi Outlander SUV with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Worried that your credit will keep you from getting a new ride? Matt Blatt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. Simply Matt Blatt Mitsubishi. Requalifications exist. Not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand financed on approved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Go to MattBlattMitsubishi.com. 844-946-2315 for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 12/31/23. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
It's Macy's one-day sale now with great deals of the day, like 40 to 60% off handbags, shoes, and accessories to complete any look, 50 to 65% off warm, on-trend coats for her, and 50% off designer bedding from Hotel Collection and more. Plus, get your online order even faster when you pick up in-store or curbside at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.
Progressive asks, what do a middle school slumber party,
Let's stay up all night. Yeah.
a sleep-deprived girl, an early morning paper route, and a poorly thrown rolled-up newspaper have in common?
Hey, what we know?
They can become a fast-breaking news story. Bundle your home and auto with Progressive for great savings and round-the-clock protection.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Get ready for the ultimate live boxing extravaganza. Hooked on Greatness Boxing Show, presented by Joe Frazier Jr. Promotions and current champion Danny Garcia's DSG Promotions on Saturday, January 13th at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. Grab your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Let's get you guys text on the text board, 609-403-0973. George at Summers Point chimes in and says, hey, Josh, you had a good point about switching of coordinators causing an issue for the Eagles defense. It was proven when the Bills changed their offense coordinator much earlier than the Eagles changed theirs. It took most of the season for the offense, the Bills, to get on the roll again. After some time, they've been playing much better, but change always takes time to get used to. I'm sure the Eagles defense is feeling that as well. It's from George in Summers Point. The other thing, George, is that, you know, when you change a coordinator, you're usually not changing it to somebody whose history is different than the guy who is already calling plays as Patricia and Desai. You know, Desai comes from the Vic Fangio tree, and he worked under Vic Fangio. He worked under Chuck Pagano. He worked with Pete Carroll. That's a specific way of playing defense. Matt Patricia comes from the Bill Belichick system. That's another way of playing defense. So I'm sure that the differences in their backgrounds probably something to do with it as well. Whereas, at least with the Bills, I look at the Bills as an organization that, you know, the Joe Brady, Ken Dorsey change, I don't think was as drastic of a change for them. Jeff in Ocean City, yes, go Sixers. No DeAnthony Melton tonight when the Sixers play, coming up at 7:30 here on 97.3 ESPN. Tom McGinnis on the call. So Melton is out tonight versus the Knicks. Jeff in Ocean City, you also have a good weekend. Anonymous text this, and ESPN Fantasy Leagues force you to play Week 18. The playoffs are 15, 16, 17, 18 combined. Texter, I don't know about your league, but I'm the league manager for the 97.3 ESPN Fantasy Football League, and I have a lot of customizations that bother people. Let's put it that way. But I made it so that the final week was 17 and not 18. So either the person who runs your fantasy league is not familiar with all the league manager tools, or someone lied to you. Read into that what you will. All right. Before I get out of here, I know you guys come for the picks as well each week here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Overall on the year on the NFL, I am 98-70-4. In the college football games, I am 95-49-3. So we have been giving you a lot of winners this year. Let's get over that 100 wins mark for the season before the postseason starts. We're going to start with the Steelers -3 at the Ravens. I think the Steelers win that game by a touchdown or more. The Ravens are playing their backups. So Steelers need the win to make the postseason. Give me the Bengals -7 versus the Browns. Browns are playing some backups. Bengals, as you heard Andy McNamara mention, they want to get Jamar Chase a few more catches to pad his stats. And that team, it's a pride thing. They still want to beat their division rival, and it's in Cincinnati. It's the final game of the year for the Bengals at home. Patriots at home against the Jets -1.5. I think the Patriots win that game by a touchdown or more. I think Belichick wants to go out on a high note, as told Andy McNamara. I am very, very convinced that is going to happen. I think Belichick, he is all in on this game. This is his Super Bowl. This is his biggest game of the year. He is all in on this game. Here on 97.3 ESPN, you will be able to hear following the Eagles game, Bills and Dolphins. Winner wins the division. I think the Bills are going to win the game. I think the Dolphins, no Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill dealing with the personal tragedy of losing his home. I think both of those are factors in this game not going the Dolphins' way. I think the Dolphins are just a very injured team as well. All right, it's time for my
Stone Cold Lock of the Century.
Raiders -3 at home to the Broncos. Look, let's be realistic. The players want Antonio Pierce to be head coach, and there is a lot of problems going on with the Broncos right now. I mean, Sean Payton is throwing everyone under the bus. He's starting Jarrett Stidham for this game. Meanwhile, the Raiders are like, we want to win. We want Antonio Pierce to be our head coach. We believe in him. We follow him. So that's why Raiders to cover the 3-point spread is my
Stone Cold Lock of the Century.
All right, thanks again to Andy McNamara for joining the show. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on Friday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. I will be back this Sunday morning with Billy Schweim in the locker room for the final Sunday of the NFL regular season, and then we'll be getting ready for the playoffs. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Clemick, and producer Churchill join me in the studio. First, we'll hear from Stanley Cup winning head coach, the Chief, Craig Berube. Next up, it's the sportsbook consigliere Dave Sherapan, live from Las Vegas with his insight on this weekend's action. Finally, we'll hear from Tim Chu, founder of TicketsForGood.org. Tim will tell us how to win tickets to great sporting events by donating to your favorite charity. It's the Locker Room with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon, 97.3 ESPN.